Elmore over the line. Intercepted by Peters. Left side pass for Colella. Out now for Ryan Moore. Sherwood with speed. Found him. Sherwood upstairs. He scores. Off the draw, Camano on the left corner, centers it, out of the reach of Moore, comes to the right point, Smerrick, he scores! Jalen Smerrick from the top of the right circle, he beats Vallotton, it's 3-0 Flint. Is it left side, Jones goes back door, nobody connected there, now to the point, turned over, Moore out of the box, has Sherwood with him, 2-0, Moore, right side, Sherwood, he scores! Cole Sherwood puts the Firebirds up 1-0. Out of the box of the Firebirds with the lead.
Welcome to episode 24 of the Media's Input. I am your host, James A. Paxton. Episode 23 had Noah Cole from the Hybrid Podcast. You should go check it out. They got a new episode coming out next week. Today on episode 24, I have the Flint Firebirds play-by-play broadcaster for TV and radio, Mr. Dominic Hennig. Dominic, how are we doing?
Doing good, James. Doing good. A pleasure to be here. And obviously hoping for hockey to start as soon as possible.
Absolutely. It's a little weird. I don't know if we're rivals or not. I've only spent 1 year with Saginaw. From what I got, Saginaw and Flint are kind of rivals, but what is your take? Are we rivals or not?
I always said the rivalry can be on the ice. Off the ice, of course, when we play each other, I'm paid by the Flint Firebirds. I hope Flint wins, but I don't get into that stuff. Great relationships with their staff and vice versa. I know our corporate sales guys talk all the time. I talk with the broadcaster there, Joey Bottano, all the time. I mean, the game's played on the ice, not off the ice, so I don't get into that stuff. And at the same time, we're all trying to make it to the NHL or make a living here, so it's good to be friends along the way.
Definitely. There's a lot of great OHL broadcasters and OHL staff. I had the pleasure for episode 11 interviewing Mike Karafalidis from Sudbury, and
Nice.
he's a funny guy, man. I love Mike.
Yeah, Mike did color with me one day when we were in Niagara this year in St. Catharines. So had some good times with Mike as well, and he's also a broadcaster up and coming here in the Ontario League.
Yeah, I don't just say it because it's a league I work in, but the OHL has some really good broadcasters around the league, and they have some really good up-and-comers.
I'm obviously biased, but I think what really impressed me about the league is how long a lot of them have been there. I mean, there's some legends in Larry Malott and Guelph and Jim Gilchrist and Kingston, and the list goes on with Mike Farwell, and just so many people enjoy the league so much that they don't want to leave. The travel's great. The fan bases are large. The facilities, the press boxes are incredible. I mean, it's literally a miniature National Hockey League. And I always say this to our recruits and parents that, in my opinion, it's the second best broadcast league in the world outside of the NHL. It's the only league that has its own television package on cable in Ontario. And, for the majority of the games, if you think about it, you have a home TV crew, a home radio crew, a visiting radio crew. You have 3 different broadcast teams for one game, and you could have 10 games in a night, up to 30 different broadcast teams going on a Saturday night. So pretty special what this league's all about when it comes to broadcasting, and obviously an honor to be part of it.
Besides Flint, of course, what's your favorite arena to broadcast games at?
I think Kitchener for me, and I think a lot of people say Kitchener because of how, I guess, the history there. But for me, and a lot of people have heard me say this, I'm from Metro Detroit. My brother was drafted by Kitchener in 2004, and so that was my first look at the league and what the OHL was all about. And so I remember being a young kid saying, like, wow, this is, the big leagues, and always had a soft place for Kitchener in my heart. And to this day, I mean, just great fan base, always getting around 6,500 to 7,000 a night. Great TV production, great, digital media efforts, great with billets, great with players, great facilities. It's all good there in Kitchener. And of course, good travel as well, as they're close in the GTA.
Talk to me about your educational and professional history. Going back to when you were a kid or a teenager, when did your love of sports or broadcasting begin?
For me, I played hockey in the Detroit area as well growing up, and I realized pretty quickly that I was not going to be a player in the NHL. But I just, for some reason, I've always had a fire in my heart for hockey in the NHL. And so to this day, that's my life goal, is to make it to the National Hockey League. So I think I was 12 or so, or 13, and I just said, okay, how else can I get to the NHL? And I don't just want to be there, working in the office 9 to 5. Like my goal is I love that hockey camaraderie, that team, the team kind of feeling, and being on the road and traveling and seeing different cities and different rinks and watching all the games home and away and stuff. And so I started looking at, the different career paths that travel with the team, and being a broadcaster was one of them. And so for me, at a young age, I realized, okay, I'm not going to make it to the NHL as a player, but, you can still get there in a different capacity. So, I ended up becoming a radio play-by-play broadcaster who started my career in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in the Tier 2 Junior A in the North American Hockey League. And then from there, I went to Ferris State University, called Division I games, starting at the age of 17. Luckily, the team made it to the national championship game, the Frozen Four, in 2012. I was 20. And then, started my master's there at Ferris. And then when the Plymouth Oilers moved to Flint in 2015, after 6 years of Division I got the job in Flint, and I just finished my 5th year in the OHL. So it's been great. I've seen quite a few leagues. I've been to amazing cities, amazing arenas, from the top college hockey rinks to obviously now every OHL rink. Hockey has been my life, my passion, it's been my everything, right? All day, every day. It's how I make my living, and love this sport. Want to change it for the world.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up Plymouth. I actually grew up in Canton, Michigan, and
Nice.
I was 10 minutes from CompuWare. Went to a lot of Plymouth Whalers games, and it was sad to see them go, but it seems like Flint's got a really good home hockey base.
I think so. And the club, if you look at what they did last year, they earned 40 wins in a 63-game season, which is impressive. As good as a 15-game winning streak. 15 games, which at this level is really solid if you could string that along. And then, they haven't been that good in terms of finishing in the standings in the first 3-4 years of their existence here in Flint. And the club was still getting 2,500 to 3,000, a night, and selling out, a few times a year, 4,000 plus. And that's coming to a new city and not starting off in the winning category. That says a lot about the hockey town here in Flint. Hockey's been here since the 1960s. So some good things in store for the arena this offseason in terms of renovations that haven't been made public yet, that I really think is going to give it an extra boost. And then, I think once you get some wins going in this community, I think people in Ontario and the major junior hockey world are going to continue to be impressed of what Flint, Michigan will offer, to the OHL ranks.
Who were some of your favorite hockey, radio, TV broadcasting inspirations?
Inspiration, growing up watching, I loved Jim Houston of CBC. Again, Metro Detroit area is where I grew up, so we got CBC across the border in Detroit. Loved his voice, loved everything about how CBC does their production. Doc Emmerich, obviously now the lead analyst at NBC Sports Network. Anytime I talk to him, it seems like you're the only one in the world that matters. And so, I think that's impressive and why he is the guy that he is. When it comes to people that I work with, on a daily basis, the lead college hockey broadcaster for the NCHC on CBS Sports Network has Ben Holden. Him and I talk quite often. And then obviously love regular communications with Joey Patano and Saginaw and Aaron Cooney in Erie when it comes to the OHL ranks. But, that's just people in the broadcast world. It's much more than that. And I could go on for days about people in the hockey world that's touched my life and got me to where I'm at. And I couldn't be here without them.
How is broadcasting hockey different from other sports?
Geez, I think it's the fastest sport, on earth. And of course, it's not the fastest thing. I read that, swing or hitting a baseball is the hardest or fastest thing to do at any point of sport. But when it comes to constantly going, I think hockey is the fastest. So you could say horse racing but you know what I mean? Like team sports like that. Hockey's the fastest. Sometimes you don't get a stoppage of play for 10 minutes. Guys are constantly switching in and out, changing on the fly is what it's called, instead of waiting for whistles and stuff like that. So you're constantly needing to know, numbers to last names, bare minimum to broadcast. I just think, to me, it's the most exciting sport to call. I mean, when there's an amazing play, a goal, it's the horn going off, fans are banging on the glass, sirens are going off, the video boards flashing. I just think it's such an awesome culture to watch and to call, and it's exciting and it's emotional. And to me, it's my passion. It's everything that, I care about, in life. So, and at the same time, I mean, it's human beings skating on basically butter knives, up to 30 miles an hour. And what I love is how you can lead somebody. If you get the puck, you need to know before you even get that, if you're going to pass the puck, skate it or shoot it. And those guys that, one touch it or pass it are leading somebody in stride who's also skating up the ice at a different speed. And I just think it's, there's so much skill that it takes to play the game of hockey, and it's continuing to get faster and harder and more skilled and more fun to watch. And I just love everything about it.
Well, in the Ontario Hockey League, I can imagine there's times, because you only get one break per period, that you're either just, oh, come on, getting offsides or something, or give me to 10 minutes. Because there's times where it's just nothing's going on, and you're like, oh my God, guys, you gotta give me a break. Yeah,
I've actually vouched for it at the business ops meetings. All the business staffs meet in June in the OHL, all 20 of them in Toronto. And we vouched for it a few times to broadcasters to allow more stoppages of play. And for people watching this, it's at the NHL and NCAA, there's 3 stoppages for TV at each period. First whistle after 15, 10, and 5 on the clock, respectively. But for the OHL, just 1, the first whistle after 10 minutes is your break. And it's really only a 30-second break for me, because you got to get time to get to commercial and come back from commercial. But, it's a lot. But at the same time, look at where we're at right now, where we would do anything to be calling a hockey game again. And so at those moments, that's what I try to think of as things like these. Or in the summer when it's the middle of July and you don't have anything going on, not necessarily a pandemic style like it is now, but again, just blessed and thankful to be part of it all.
It's really hard to predict the future, especially with this pandemic. But what do you think the OHL looks like in this upcoming season?
Geez, it's so tough. I really don't even know if the league itself is sure or certain at this point, because there's so many moving parts that aren't in the league's control. Number one is the border. I mean, there's 20 teams in the Ontario Hockey League, 17 are in Ontario, 3 are in the US. The border is number one, and that's government related. Number 2 is fans. This league has such high operating budgets. I'm pretty sure it's the highest operating budget in any junior hockey in the world, in the millions of dollars per year, because of the education packages and the equipment they receive. And already, I can't tell you how many are making money, if more than 3 or 4 leagues. So, and that's with, thousands a night in paid attendance. So take away the fans, and who knows if that could work out, and I know I read some articles that the league is trying to hire lobbyists now to lobby the Canadian government to get money in case they do play without fans, to kind of subsidize it a bit. But, I know that the league's doing an outstanding job working every angle to try to get it done. And get everybody back on the ice. But I can't answer that question until we know if the border is going to open, and then can fans be a part of it? And if not, then there's got to be other solutions, or else maybe there won't be a league. Who knows? October 1's the goal right now, I think. I think a November 1 date may happen. December 1's more realistic. January 1 is probably the most optimal, at this point. But I don't want to speak out of turn. It's above my head. It's above my pay grade. And when I have, families and parents and recruits reach out to me and ask what I think, I always just say, guys, it's the Ontario Hockey League. I mean, this league has a great proven track record. Whatever the best possible scenario is, they're going to make it happen. So put your trust in them, and we'll just follow suit from there.
Can you imagine doing a game from your home or from your office that you're in? What challenges can you have? Maybe that puck that you think is a slap shot isn't going as hard as you think to the goalie.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've seen a couple of the guys in the NHL doing that as we return to play started here in the end of July. And, I'm sure I would definitely do it if it was the opportunity presented itself to me. But at the same time, the challenges, I think, for me, I'm fortunate to have in our building the broadcast bells and whistles that have ice mics, hanging above the ice. So you hear the skating, you hear the chatter, you hear the crowd, and it helps me like dial in and really feel like I'm into the game. And, not having that at home, would be tough. And I'm sure in the NHL, those guys are getting fed ice mics in their ears and stuff, but probably not at our level. But, I think that's number one. The challenge is not really feeling like you're part of the action, not engulfed in it, if you will. And then number two is sometimes the camera doesn't keep up with the puck. Like they might dump it in. You don't know who's in the corner getting it. You don't know if the player's even there, to be honest, so you're limited to just a camera view instead of, where from in a press box, you watch from above. But again, probably in the NHL, they send the broadcasters, a wide shot from, the top of the press box or something, who knows? But that's the other thing, seeing numbers, there's a lot of different variables to it, but for me, I think the biggest one is if you're not there, you don't feel part of the action. You don't have the energy to help with this, a goal call or, whatnot. And it is what it is. And hopefully we don't go that route. But at the same time, if we need to, I'll be prepared.
Flint had an amazing team this past year. And who are some Firebirds players who you think could have potentially great NHL careers?
Well, I think one of the guys from this team who's in the NHL bubble right now with the Dallas Stars is Ty Dellandrea. I mean, he was a first-round pick by the Dallas Stars when the draft was in Dallas, so it was a big deal. And it was obviously big for our franchise as well, as Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn announced that pick on stage when all eyes in the hockey world were there, and they mentioned the Flint Firebirds. So Ty Dellandrea won for sure. I think the first round pick last year, second overall, Brennan Othman has a serious shot at making it as well. And then who knows? I mean, Riley McCourt was top 5 in the league among defensemen last year. And this is a player who plays with his heart on his sleeve, and he's got speed and a great shot and good accuracy. And, I feel like, he would deserve a look at it. He went to the Boston Bruins development camp a year ago as well. Kind of not surprised, but it's weird to see guys like Jake Durham, who put up 55 points, 2 years ago now, or Anthony Popovich, who won an OHL championship, who went the Canadian college route, and, they still have the chance to make it. But I think from that team, the main guy you're going to see is Ty Dellandrea, maybe Brennan Othman, and who knows, maybe a Braden Kressler who went second round, 2 years ago to Flint as well. So too early to tell, I think, for a lot of the guys, but hopefully, whatever they do, even if it's not hockey, doctors, lawyers, firefighters, they do something that, they enjoy and have passion with moving forward.
Whenever you talk to anyone, or at least whenever I've talked to anyone about hockey prospects or the OHL, Shane Wright has always come up. I assume you've seen him play, and what did you see talent-wise out of him?
Well, it was funny because I think we went there in November into Kingston where he plays. And, he was noticeable, and it's like, hey, this kid's a 15, like he's going to be fantastic in this league. And then in February, he came to Flint with the front and action. This was right at the end of Flint's 15 game winning streak. So there's a lot to be, said about the Flint Firebirds, and, great crowd, 3,000 in the building that night. And Shane Wright scored like first shift. And then he ended up scoring a hat trick. So I guess it's, when you look back in history or trivia, it could be, what was the first time he ever scored his hat trick in the OHL was in Flint. And I got to call that, and that was, not special, but it was interesting to see. So when you say, have I seen him play? Like, yeah, I saw him put a hat trick up in our barn. And I'll never forget his third goal was he just came over the blue line and, top of the circle, far side, glove side goal. And it was like, wow. And this kid's 15, 16, like this kid's got some time still in this league. So yeah, he's going to be impressive. He's going to be special. I think I can't remember the stat now. We've been out of the game 4 months, but I'm pretty sure if the season finished, the next 4 or 5 games, he would have been on pace to break Connor McDavid's first year. Maybe it was John Tavares' first year in the OHL. And so when you put your name in that category, then you're doing something right.
Oh, whatever you're tied with Connor McDavid, I assume you're going to be one of the best hockey players.
Yeah, 100%.
Where are you at with the NHL draft lottery giving the number 1 pick to a to-be-determined team?
Well, I'm a little biased because I'm from Detroit, and I thought Detroit could have had the chance to go number 1 overall this year and, kind of regain, that hockey town feeling and get everybody hockey crazy. Because if people are hockey crazy in Detroit, then obviously that bodes well for our attendance and players growing up and getting new players in hockey and the whole like. So for me, I wanted Detroit to get that number 1 overall pick. And when the lowest they could go was number 4, and they got the number 4 overall pick with the most amount of, lottery balls or chances, that one stung, obviously. I won't forget what Steve Yzerman said. He said, anything I say negative about the draft, the lottery will sound self-fulfilling. And, that just goes to show you what kind of person he is. So my thoughts on it, it is what it is. If it's true and accurate and the lottery is a chance thing, then, I'm all for it, because teams don't tank then. And you go for, you do it right and keep integrity in the game. Now, when it comes to them not having a team announced that day, when all eyes were on hockey, especially in the middle of a pandemic, and it was the biggest thing going on that night, that kind of made me think, well, guys, what are we doing here as a league? But then, I start to realize, well, hey, now we have, added and, I guess things to look out for in the NHL playoffs, as well as it's another day for, kind of who gets number 1 overall. So the league's getting, killing 2 birds or getting more bang for their buck, I guess, when it comes to this. So again, same thing I said about the OHL, guys. It's the National Hockey League. It's one of 4, major sports leagues in the world, and whatever they do, I'm sure there's great reason behind it. I support it, and I just am along for the ride.
I hear you, but I just hate saying it being a Wings fan too. Like, I think we deserve Lafreniere. Like, I think we deserved him, don't you think?
Yeah, but the other good thing is, and who knows, it's where you start hearing conspiracy theorists talk about it and everything, is Montreal has a good chance to get that first overall pick, and he's, obviously of the French culture and the Montreal area. And of course, it'd be good for the NHL to have the Habs rolling. So, especially in that media market, which I think they have the most media coverage in the NHL. So, who knows? We'll see how it shakes out. But, it is what it is. And I'm just happy that, we got hockey going again right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Canadians have a shot against the Penguins, but we'll see. Weirder things have happened.
Exactly.
So I assume you've seen a couple of these scrimmages. Do you have a Stanley Cup team in mind where you go, I think they could win the Cup? Or do you have a couple or a handful? Like, tell me all the teams who you think have a chance to win the Cup.
Well, what I like to do, and maybe this isn't accurate or maybe this isn't the right way to do it, is I like to remove the top 3 finish in the regular season and try to have some fun with it. Of course, Boston finished number 1, St. Louis number 2, and then it was Colorado that finished number 3 in the regular season this year. So I removed them from the equation. I really believe in, and I got no, facts behind this at this point of recording. All we've watched is 1 exhibition game per team in the last 4 months. So who knows what's going to change? But, and I know it's just exhibition games, but it seems like, the full lineups and rosters are playing right now. I'd like to think that, it could go very well to a Canadian team this year. I think Toronto, they won 4-2 in their exhibition. The Edmonton Oilers look to be rolling. Connor McDavid with a beautiful goal up that right wing wall and scoring 5 goals. So, I would say in Edmonton or Toronto has the chance. But, wouldn't that be crazy if Edmonton wins it in their arena this year, since that's where the Stanley Cup final is going to be as well. So,
yeah, you talk about some Canadian teams. I mean, Calgary always has a really good team, but they don't do anything in the playoffs. You would think eventually they're going to get that monkey off their back.
Well, growing up, it's funny you say that. My favorite team besides the Red Wings, of course, I always wanted to pick somebody else outside of Detroit, was Calgary. But you're right. It seems like they can't get the job done. But then again, 30 teams a year, don't get the job done anymore. So who knows what happens here. Just going to be fun to watch, sit back and be a fan for a change.
Were you a fan of the Seattle Kraken? Did you like the jerseys? Did you like the mascot? Where were you at with that?
Love the colors. I think they're dynamite. I think their social media and business team knocked it out of the park on the teaser video the day before when they were on that, what is it called, the Bard, in the water there. And I just thought they did a heck of a job with unrolling it. Seattle Kraken, yeah, it is what it is. I'm from not the West Coast, so I didn't realize how important that name is out there and everything, and what it means to their culture. But it seems like their fans were all about it. Their city's all about it. And hey, whatever bodes well their market, fantastic. But when you're looking at the logo, I love it might be their 3rd logo. Yeah, the Seattle Tower
Yeah,
in
it's
their
the third.
logo. Yeah, with the anchor, I think is fantastic. Might be one of my favorite logos in sport. And then those colors, haven't seen really anything like it, but they're also kind of close, to their NFL club there too. So I like it. I mean, and again, these are professional organizations and professional leagues with huge teams and a lot of the smartest minds in what they do making these decisions. You just got to trust them. And it all works out at the end of the day. So I'm happy with it. I really do like them.
Some of your favorite logos and sweaters in the NHL right now. I assume Wings is up there.
Yeah, absolutely. The Wings are definitely one. I think Vegas did another outstanding job with their logo reveal. Was it 3 years ago now? Geez. Along with Vegas, one of my favorites, I think, is the Chicago Blackhawks, and they might be in some muddy waters here with everybody changing logos and whatnot, or mascots here in the future. But I think my ultimate favorite, and it's kind of generic, but I just love it. I think it looks so like fresh, pro, and clean, is the LA Kings, that shield. I just think that's a sweet logo, and I'm all about it. And obviously the second highest populated city in North America here, it's good for them to have a good logo.
I mean, I love the Wings, and when I'm not a Wings fan, I'm a Blues fan. So, of course, I like the Blues.
Nice.
I've always been a fan of the Rangers. Like that blue sweater with the red writing. I mean, that just always looks classy to me.
That's my next favorite right after LA, and it's probably because it's similar. They're both shields, if you will, So, and then again, that goes back to the whole Kitchener discussion we had earlier. So, I have a soft spot for that logo and those colors in my heart as well. But, and again, top two populated cities, New York and LA, so that's good. And then Chicago, number 3. So, it's not a coincidence. These guys do things the right way, and it is fun to sit back and watch, professional organizations operate and just be amazed by it.
So, of course, NHL scrimmages comes back August 1st. This season's kind of in the two bubbles. We'll see what happens. How do you think this season of the NHL is going to impact future seasons, maybe 2021, 22?
Well, it depends. If things keep going well and the virus stays down in hockey and games aren't affected and things go as planned, the latest that you could have a Stanley Cup final, Game 7, is October 4th, I believe. So my understanding is it was going to be a week or 2, I think 1 week off. It's 2 weeks off. That following week, though, is the NHL draft. Another week, and then it's you're going again. And I heard that they're going to go through and not have an all-star break and go into July. And so it'll just be a later season into the summer next year. And then I think, hey, we're back to square number one, or back to rolling as normal here from there, going into the would that be the 2021-22 season. So. I think if the coronavirus stays down and the NHL could get their games in here over the next 2 months, then we'll be fine, business as usual.
When it comes to next season, are you more worried about players with the quick return getting tired by not having that much conditioning or break, or getting injured?
Good question. It's obviously one of the things that everyone's discussed. I would imagine, though, again, back to what I said, people are making great decisions, and a lot of people, sports scientists, they get a lot of people involved. So for me, I really think if you're thinking about it, unless you make it to the Stanley Cup finals, 29 of the 31 teams are going to have at least a 4-week break, at least. And is that enough? I don't know. I'm not a high caliber athlete like that, but I'd imagine a month you could kind of get your body back to normal. And even then, we're only talking 2 more teams. So what would it be? I mean, 27 of the 31 teams are going to have like a 6-week break, 5-6 week break. So, at the very least. So I would imagine, the majority, it's going to bode well for the majority, but hey, if you win the Stanley Cup and you only got a 2-week break, I don't know, maybe you have recruits come up for a week, or not recruits, but, rookies come up for a week, and assess the situation at that point in time. But, I'm sure whatever the decision is, it'll be done right, and it'll be the best case scenario.
Thank you very much for this interview, Dominic. It was a pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure, James. Fantastic questions. Thank you for your time and thinking of me.
Absolutely. To check out this interview and previous interviews of mine, go to my YouTube channel, James Paxton. And as always, thank you to the guest, Mr. Dominic Hennig.